Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
All right, I'm very excited about this. One of my very best friends in the entire world, MJ Acosta. MJ and I go way back to college at Barry University in Miami. She is now on NFL Network. She is, like myself, a hustler. I know we look like, we're like 20 years old and we just, wandered onto the scene, but we've actually been doing this a long time. We're old biddies. Welcome, MJ. So happy to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Joy. It's that melanin girl. That's all we have to think.
True. I love that. All right, well, let's get started. You have been covering the Antonio Brown thing, which we'll get to a little bit later. But MJ covers the Raiders and the 49ers in the Bay Area. And I want to start with last night. We'll talk about the 49ers, the Raiders, and a bunch of other stuff. But I want to start with last night, the Browns. So they beat the Jets, who are completely depleted. And you really can't even evaluate because they have no one, including Sam Darnold. And now they're out Trevor Siemian and down to Falk. They're a separate situation. But what did you like from Baker Mayfield last night? Because I didn't really think he looked that good.
No, and the thing is, I'm actually headed to Cleveland this weekend to cover that Sunday night game against the Rams. So this is perfect timing in this sense. When I watch Baker, it's like he's never going to be that, finesse kind of quarterback that's seamless out there. He's a gritty guy. He's a gritty QB. He's in your face, and that's sort of his playing style. He's going to be scrappy, and that's what we saw on Monday night as well. Even though they were going up against a Jets team that, like you said, is depleted, that's sort of what I see from him. Is he's going to fight his way to the end zone and fight his way to make this offense sort of come together to get these wins throughout the season.
I just really, I don't know. I thought he was very inaccurate. I know he was running for his life, but aside from Odell, if Odell didn't have the night that he had, I just think that they would have been a colossal disappointment, maybe even a disaster. And if you're looking at their next couple games, it could be really bad for them really quickly. But speaking of that, the 49ers are 2-0. They look impressive. I was a 49ers doubter before the season started. I really didn't know what to make of Jimmy G yet, but they've looked great. And what, besides Jimmy being back, has been the biggest factor for them?
I think there's two things with the Niners right now. On offense, aside from Jimmy, I think it's the evolution of their running back. So they went out and got Tevin Coleman, which lasted all of 5 seconds because then he got hurt in the very first week. But Matt Breida, we saw last season, he's a workhorse. I mean, he played through some pretty intense stuff. He was hurt a lot and still went up there and carried the team on his back. He's doing that again this season, but Raheem Mostert, who's kind of like a second, third string guy, still went out there and kind of showed a little bit of the promise we saw from 2018 before he broke his arm. So it's interesting to see now the Breida-Mostert dynamic coming together for these guys. But on defense, that's where I see the biggest difference. These guys have a major confidence boost. And with reason. I mean, they have Dee Ford, they have Quan Alexander, they have Nick Bosa. They've really been able to stop the run. I mean, against the Bengals, they only let up 25 rushing yards. And they're getting after QBs, which is exactly what they want to see. So that 4 sacks last week against Cincy, which is already a much better pace than what we saw last year. And they're really starting to get it together in the turnover battle. So I think the defense here is the key for the Niners.
Yeah, I have Breida on one of my 3 fantasy football teams. I might have overdone it on the fantasy football front. Actually, I'm in week 2, and I already have to give myself reminders to check my teams because it's just a lot. 3 is too many. How many are you doing this year?
I only have one, barely, and it's stressing me out. I don't know how you're doing. Great.
Well, so here's what happened. I always do 1 because I'm in the all-female CBS Fantasy Football League, which I've been in for 5 or 6 years now, which is run by Jamie Eisenberg. Shout out Jamie Eisenberg, CBS Sports. Used to work for them. And then I have the Herd one, and then I have the Maybe I'm Crazy Fantasy Football League.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
No, I got in this year. I avoided it last year somehow and just stayed under the fray. So I was trying to focus on getting my beats correct in my first year at the NFL Network. But this year, I was like, all right, I got to do it. And I remember now why I didn't miss it last year. I'm so stressed. It's absurd.
Yeah, and then also I made this really great decision to get Drew Brees in 2 of them. So, I got to make some moves there. But speaking of injuries, Ben Roethlisberger is out for the season, non-contact injury. The 49ers host the Steelers on Sunday. I personally feel like the Steelers season is over. I know everyone is being very optimistic with this Mason Rudolph situation. I didn't like the way they looked before Ben was injured. I don't think they have the talent on offense that they need to actually make noise in the playoffs for the AFC. Winning the AFC North, okay, that's great, that's cute. That's not what the Steelers are supposed to do. That's a given. You win the AFC North. The Steelers have championship level expectations every year. You're the Pittsburgh freaking Steelers. So, do you think that their season is over?
I think it's going to be really rough. I agree even with Ben at the helm, which obviously he leads this offense. It was already looking pretty dire. And now of course people are going to say they're optimistic, right? What else are they going to say? When your starting QB goes down, but like there's no feasible comparison between Ben and anyone, let alone Ben and Mason Rudolph. I mean, that's just not going to happen. So it's looking really, really dire. I mean, they did get Minka Fitzpatrick, so their defense will be bolstered.
Right.
He definitely has a chance there to really shine, but I mean, that alone is not going to fix what's happening with the Steelers.
No, and they don't have a first-round pick now next year because of that Minka Fitzpatrick trade. Speaking of Minka, let's go down to our my old hood and city and your hometown of Miami. So the Dolphins traded Minka Fitzpatrick. They now have really no playmakers whatsoever left on the team. I'm furious with what the Dolphins are doing. I don't believe in tanking in any sport. I don't believe it ever works. I've not seen championships from it or sustained success. I think it permeates through every level of the organization and through the city. When a team tanks, it takes years to come back from. You completely gut your organization of any high-level talents and any high salaries. And now they have 15 draft picks in next year's draft, including 3 in the first round. I know the Dolphins very well, as do you, which is why I have no faith that this will work. And it's I don't get it. And honestly, I don't think Brian Flores is going to survive whatever this plan is to see it through to fruition anyway. But your thoughts on what the Dolphins are doing?
I mean, it's insane. Like, it's 5 first-rounders in the next 2 drafts, which sounds great on paper, right, given all of the other circumstances around this dumpster fire. But I agree. I can't imagine. You would have to hit on every single pick, which, of course, doesn't happen for any team, let alone one who's trying to rebuild something as colossal of a failure as this. This is bad. I mean, the last couple of weeks, they lost Kenny Stills, Laramie Tunsil, and now Minka. And I can't even be mad at Minka for asking for a trade. I mean, anyone would want to get out of there. They want to win. These guys want to play. They're hyper-competitive. They're not here for a rebuild. They're trying to win rings. So it's really disappointing. As a fan, it hurts me in the deepest core of my soul. So, I mean, all we can do is pray at this point.
All we can do is pray. Just so you know, well, obviously, you know my Miami Dolphins ties, but MJ was a Miami Dolphins cheerleader also. What year was it?
2012 to 2013.
2012. I was at MJ's tryout. I made her sign.
It was fantastic.
What was your number? Do you remember?
I was number 69.
69. Gronk would love that joke.
Yeah.
And wait, I'm gonna see if I remember what dance you did. Didn't you do Shania Twain?
No, it was not Shania Twain. It was, but I think Shania Twain has done a rendition of the song, but it was "I'm a Woman." Just, to be abundantly clear. But it was like, for me, my version was "I'm a grown-ass woman" at that point. So
right, but what was the? But that was the song, right? Like, I feel like a woman, right?
Yes. It wasn't that song. But it sounds similar to that. I can remember.
Okay, so I was like, all right, so I'm like 98% right. This is very good for me. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. It's pretty good.
I'm very impressed.
Okay, so Dak Prescott. I'm a huge Dak fan. I think he's a winner, which is really all I care about. I get it where people are skeptical of him because he's not great at anything. He's being compared to Patrick Mahomes, which I think is unfair. But I don't even like that we do this thing where we compare each quarterback because all of them are so, and quarterbacks at a high level are all so incredibly unique that I don't think it's fair to do comparisons anyway. But I like Dak. I think they should have paid him before the season. I do think he's still going to get paid and he should definitely not take a discount. But what do you think of Dak? Because, I mean, he just keeps winning.
And that's what matters the most in my book is the W's. I mean, I got to speak with him one-on-one back at the Pro Bowl. Not only does he win, but he does so much for this organization. The fans absolutely love him, again, because he's putting up W's for this team, and they absolutely need to pay him. I mean, if we want to go down the comparison route, which I agree with you, we shouldn't compare, but Jimmy got super paid, and Jimmy has not even played anywhere near as many games as Dak has, or won as many games as Dak has. So it's like, if you want to go the comparison route, there's one key point in Dak's favor to get paid. I can't imagine that they wouldn't make sure that he gets his bag, before the end of the season. I mean, it has to happen soon, I would imagine. And there's no lowballing him at this point. He's got to get it done. He's their starting quarterback. He's leading this team. I don't understand why it's taking this long, to be honest.
So we're very excited about the Super Bowl this year. Obviously, it's going to be in Miami. My pick for the Super Bowl is the Chiefs and Cowboys. How do you like that? And who was your Super Bowl pick before the season started?
I did. So I had the Chiefs in there for sure. I was still looking, but now the Cowboys are looking like the main team that could go up against them. I think that would be fire. So fire, especially in South Florida. I think people would love this type of matchup. And I'm more excited for game day atmosphere, of course, because you and I both know how tailgates and pregame gets down in South Florida.
I saw, maybe you have seen the video that was circulating on social media last week from the Dolphins tailgate. It was not safe for work.
I think I missed it.
I mean, you can assume what it was. It was something. Yeah. It was like a Tootsie's promotion or something of the sort.
Oh God.
So you know what it is.
Tootsie. Yep.
Tootsie's has good wings.
For those of you who don't know, you'll know soon in February.
Yeah, I don't think people are really prepared for the turn-up level of tailgates. It doesn't matter if the Dolphins are losing. Like, any opportunity to party in Miami is going to get taken to the highest level. We don't do anything. It's 0 or 100. Like, you're either staying in the house or you're doing the absolute most. There's no moderation.
There is a club in every single pro sports venue in South Florida. From Hard Rock to Marlins Park to whatever the American Airlines Arena is going to be named now. There's a club literally inside every single one of them. So just to put it in context for folks that may not understand what's happening.
To add to that, the baseball park, which traditionally baseball is the most conservative sport, obviously, we know that, they have topless women who have their boobs spray painted walking around the club that's inside the baseball park, inside Marlins Park.
Yeah.
They wear thongs.
And that's like, and it's normal. This isn't like anybody.
We never questioned it. No one even thought it was weird. That's what's so remarkable about that. So it's the Clevelander. It's at Marlins Park. It's actually a great time because the actual Clevelander is kind of played out like on South Beach. You really only go to the Clevelander if you are an absolute tourist. Nobody's like, oh, like where should we go today? Let's go to the Clevelander. You'd be like, ugh, who are you?
No.
What? So
I can't remember the last time I went to South Beach. By the way, for anybody who like needs to hear this, the Dolphins don't play on South Beach. Like, I cannot hear that one more time.
Yeah, neither do the Heat. Neither do the Heat, but but LeBron started that, and it'll never end for the rest of time.
Right.
But it's fine. It's close enough, at least for LeBron. The Dolphins are nowhere near that, and the training facility is not even in the same county. All right, so I think Aaron Rodgers will be the MVP. I said that before the season started. I thought the Packers were going to be a lot better this year than they were last year. They haven't had a dynamic offensive performance, but the bigger picture for me, because I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers in the offense, is that he never really had a strong defense since the Super Bowl win, and now he does. So I think the Packers are going to be a real problem for people this year.
I agree. Their defense has held opposing quarterbacks to a 58.3 passer rating this season. Granted, through 2 games, fine, but still, I mean, I don't know of another defense who's doing that well. Check my stats, and there are many of them, but this goes well for the Packers. I mean, I'd never worry with Rodgers. He doesn't need, like, a tremendous receiving quarterback. He'll make it happen. That's why he is who he is. But Devontae Adams is one of my favorite guys out there, and he's been doing well, 106 receiving yards last game. So I think when you mesh those two things, it's a recipe for success.
So Lamar Jackson, I didn't really know what to make of him last year. Like, he was fun, but I wanted to see something more consistent from the pocket. And they kind of made me nervous because the Ravens were talking before the season how they're going to let him run, and like there's going to be a lot of running on the offense, and that just made me uncomfortable because I want them to develop him into a pocket passer, which he's become. So what were your thoughts on Lamar Jackson going into the season? Because I was doubtful, and now I am very excited about it. And I think that they're a real team, and they've kind of taken the lead, at least in my mind, in the AFC North, because I don't like what I've seen from the Browns so far. Nobody cares about the Bengals. And obviously the Steelers are now without Big Ben. So what do you think?
Right. So this is how I drafted Lamar in my fantasy league, but I had him on the bench in week 1. So you can only imagine how devastating that was. Again, why I haven't played fantasy in a couple of years. But this week, promptly moved him as my starting quarterback, and not just because of his week 1 performance, because again, that was against my very lowly Dolphins, but still, I agree with you. His development alone from 2018 to 2019 is enough to make me excited. I mean, the kid has shown that he is no longer a kid. He's a grown-ass man. He's a starting QB, and he can do it all. He can run it. He's got the aerial attacks. He knows what he's doing. He's commanding the field and this offense, and they're looking like the real deal.
So the other real deal is the Patriots. And, I mean, look, I didn't know what really to expect from the Patriots this year. And then they made a bunch of annoying moves, and they came out like Ghostbusters. And obviously now they have AB. You were in the middle of the Antonio Brown Raiders camp chaos. In fact, I was texting you like throughout that whole like 4 or 5 day roller coaster. Like, are you okay? Like literally, are you all right? Because there's a lot happening right now. Have you gotten sleep? What was the reaction really in Oakland when AB left?
I think initially a lot of the guys for as much of a united front as they presented, and I don't think that was contrived. I think the guys were really just relieved that it was over. That it's like, all right, now we can focus on what we have to do, or at least that the outside world can focus on the X's and O's around this team. There was just, regardless of how much you say that your team isn't distracted and they're not they're not paying attention to the headlines or to Twitter. Yeah, they are. I mean, they're looking. Even if it's after practice, guys are watching, and even at a subconscious level, it's gonna get through one way or another. So the overall relief after it was quickly determined that he was going to the Patriots was palpable in that locker room. It was, thank God, it's over. You know, nobody really had any ill will towards him. It was apathetic, really. Like, all right, well, he's not here. Cool, whatever. Let's move on. But more so than anything else, they were glad that they didn't have to answer any more questions from us in the press corps about Antonio Brown.
Well, so having been close to the situation there in Oakland and now seeing everything that's playing out with New England, and we're waiting to see what happens with Roger Goodell, and I don't want to get into the case and all that stuff, but like, what is your gut feeling about how that situation plays out?
I mean, it's insane. I think the fact that, and without getting into the details of the case, which I of course am not privy to, it's just another sort of notch in the overall scheme of everything that's gone down. I mean, that is on another level of escalation and another level of severity. But he played on Sunday. He played and he scored, and seemingly everyone didn't even mention what's been going on with the case. So it's just one of those things where we've seen across this league, if you're winning, if you're putting on points, everything else sort of dissipates and goes off to the side. But it can't be ignored.
Well, it was really fun, MJ. I'm super proud of you. Just so you know, MJ is the first Latina on the NFL Network as well. I saw you reposted that video of Odell last night with the reporter. Oh, man. That was... It
was the most amazing reaction. He looked like he was solving a math problem. Like, wait, what did he just say? So when I go to Cleveland, my goal this Sunday is to, at the very least, give him, like, just a couple of key phrases that, like, will get him through any ESPN or NFL en Español interviews that he may have.
That is very smart. If you didn't see the video, Odell was being interviewed by a reporter from ESPN Deportes. And he started off the interview in Spanish, and Odell was very confused what was happening.
He's like, what is happening right now?
Yeah,
so
that's actually smart. You should do that. I love that idea. Thanks so much for coming on. Also, last minute, love you. Next time you're in LA, we'll get some wine, as we always do. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
Love you forever. Thank you.
Bye, babe.